Hello? Gotcha. Yo, this is Nushi.
And Roushi.
The Mama We Made It podcast. Happy October 4th to everybody out there. This is the 5th Tuesday that we hitting you with these podcasts. Thank you to everybody that's been listening, that's been commenting, giving us feedback, yeah?
Love you.
Love you. Like no other.
Keep writing in comments.
Blow a kiss to your mother. Give a hug to your brother. Oh, shit. I hope y'all enjoy this because we got Mizzle supervision in the building.
Mr. Gavin McNeill. Nushi, tell him. Mama.
We made it! Bra. What it do, though?
Yeah.
Yo, I cannot tell you how excited I am to have my motherfucking brother, Gavin Mizzle McNeill, in the building with us tonight.
Whoa.
Hey.
Whoa.
Just to give y'all a little brief introduction on this kindred spirit, Gavin, to me, has been an inspiration ever since I first met him. I actually first crossed paths with Gavin when I graduated college and I was working with you and Gavin was doing JBC, Just Be Cool. And we really got close through a mutual friend of ours, AJ Roland, who I think we can both look at as like a big bro. But Gavin and I have really gotten to know each other extremely well. I've always been enamored by not only his energy, but his creative genius, the way he sees the world, the way his art really evokes emotions, and the way he's been able to really capture the greatness within any of the human beings or any of the endeavors in which he's been a part of. And I'm truly honored to have you on the podcast today, Brose. Woo.
Get it.
Man,
Get it.
So, Gav, I really want to start out. Let's start young, man, because it's crazy to think about it. Coming from a family in which your father was in the NFL, you guys moved around, and then you ended up being, a youngster in Los Angeles, and grew up and went to high school in the Beverly Hills area. So you were a cat that came from an element that understood, the streets around you, but at the same time were surrounded by the opulence of communities around you, and you really got to see both worlds. And I want to know, was that dichotomy the start of like your understanding and the way in which you saw the world?
Yeah, no, that definitely played a part in my perspective on things. It filled in some gaps. It gave me it was kind of the two extremes, I mean, it wasn't Arlington, Jefferson, South Central Los Angeles wasn't the poorest neighborhood at all.
Yeah.
But, you still see some of the, just the things that come with, a neighborhood that's in poverty, you know what I'm saying? Or just that environment. But then going to school on the other end of the spectrum to what they, probably one of the richest cities in America.
Yeah.
It's like two ends of the spectrum, and it gives you a lot of perspective of what's out there.
Word.
And then just an approach to, we can really dive in deep as to how that affected me.
Let's dive in, bro.
Yeah, it's
well, so one thing you look at, right, is like it's so you look at, right, LA, South Central, no money, you know what I'm saying? Just a community that's really, but everybody, right? You look up and you realize that everybody wants to floss. You know what I'm saying? Everybody wants to be like, okay, boom, I got rims on my car. I got beat in my car. I got this kind of car.
Absolutely.
Know? I got the fake Gucci belt or the real one. Who knows?
Yeah.
You know, and then it was funny because I'll go to school. It's like these motherfuckers that are rich as fuck that are like.
How old were you at this time?
This is like fucking 14 years old, 15 years old. You go to school and you're like, yo, like motherfuckers that are rich as fuck want to look poor. Or they want to wear Dickies and Chucks and sag their pants and their shoelaces as their belt and all this shit. And I'm like, yeah, motherfucker. Like one side of the spectrum is trying to be this end and the other end is trying to be that end. Nobody wants to just be themselves. But they want to portray this, I am the other side of things. You know what I'm saying? And,
really?
And it's like, it was like, I saw more Gucci in the hood than I did in Beverly Hills.
That's crazy.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's so funny.
And so it was an interesting perspective to where it really told me, like, yo, you got to just be yourself.
Yeah.
To the extreme. That's what's missing from the world. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was, so that, that's true.
I feel like with your art, everything that you've done, whether it be direct art or whether it be you curating amongst the culture, but with that in mind, you know, we've had talks and you've told me that you know you've been around so many different things, but for you, your pathway or your passage to oneness with yourself was really through the creative arts and the creative endeavors, right? When for you was it that you really started, you know, I guess what birthed your desire to create and be a creative, and like kind of let's talk about what that journey was like from the onset, and then we'll get into, you know, where that led you to. But what was that moment for you? Like, how old were you? When was this? Like, when did this really start? I guess when was the seed kind of planted within you? And then, you know, let's talk about how that kind of birthed and grew over time.
All right. So, I can remember being in second grade and there was this teacher that had us make these like little rockets.
Okay.
You know, like little rockets. You do the shit at blast.
Do you remember
off,
the teacher's name?
No, I don't even remember her name.
Word. Shout out to the missus, whoever she was.
Right. So shout out to her. But she had us make these rockets, right? And she had told us to kind of make like a little ID card as if we worked for NASA.
Really?
And I made an ID card and I printed a grip of them and used them as business cards.
Hell yeah.
Really?
And I was telling people like I was making rockets and like selling them. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't sell any, I didn't have any. I had R1.
Yeah, it was an idea.
But I was like, I turned my ID card that I worked at NASA into like a business card, and I sold a grip of them. I went home to my mom like, it's my business card.
That is great.
You know,
wow.
And I think that was one memory that I have to where I was like, oh, okay, I had like an entrepreneurial spirit, you know. But then I always, you know, through school, my papers looked crazy, doodles all over them, you know.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't until high school when I was in high school and I had this freshman year chick was came for like it's like the job fair type of thing, right, into school. Sat with her. And I was listening to her talk about how she started her shit. She started her little clothing line, this, that, and the other. And I was like, man, I want to get into that.
Yeah.
So, and then another lady, same thing. She started a PR company. She ended up becoming a teacher at the school and having an elective at the school that we could take. Me and 5 or like 10 other kids actually took the class.
Wow.
And she gave me a link to get a fake or like a pirated fucking Adobe Illustrator software.
Nice.
Word.
And first thing she had us do
was freshman year?
Yeah. First thing she had us do was design a brand or a logo and make a business card.
So there was a class for this?
It was, so the class was an elective and it was like a PR in marketing elective because she was a PR. She had a PR company.
That is so...
actually right down the street from here.
Wow.
She had a PR company, and so I made the logo, made these business cards, and I was telling people I got a clothing line now.
That's amazing.
Saying?
So from those business cards, is that when the name first started?
Not the name now. The current that name was called Majestic Soul.
Majestic Soul.
Majestic Soul.
What made you choose that name?
Just Majestic Soul was about royalty, and that's how I felt about myself. You know, it was being a royal soul, a royal spirit. You know, in 9th grade, I was just crazy thinking about it. But I had this logo that was like this almost little stick figure with a big afro that had a pick in his hair that was like a crown almost, but it was a pick, you know what I'm saying? And it was basically speaking to, you know, how I felt about the culture. You know what I'm saying?
Do you still have that anywhere?
I do. I still have. I could find the business card in a file.
Yeah.
I definitely still have the hat that I went and got made downtown. You know,
that's crazy. That young, freshman year.
Yeah, my freshman year, and
that's wild.
And I started selling those hats with that logo on it at school.
So from that, so she was really your first kind of inspiration into that world.
Yeah, man. She definitely she gave me the tools. Like when she gave me Illustrator, I was on that shit 24/7.
Because you already had, I mean, like you told me, you know, you shared a great story before the podcast of coming to LA and noticing all the colors in this city are just faded from the sun. That's something I would never even think of. You probably would.
No.
I think from there, obviously you already had like what a lot of people don't in terms of fashion, that eye, that recognition of, or that awareness of color, of design. And then the entrepreneurial like bug. So when those opportunities come, or when they're presented, or if you see someone like you said, hey, she's doing this, why can't I do this? That question that you ask yourself, like, why can't I do this? A lot of people don't actually take that step. So I think in terms of that, you know, maybe with other things that inspire them, but it's funny that you actually already had these qualities, and it's that what actually just needed to bring them out of you.
Right.
Was just you seeing someone else do it and be like, wait a minute, I could do this. And then the vision's already there. Right. Then just the brain starts working. All right, Majestic Soul, stick figure, got the afro.
Yeah.
Pick the crown.
And it's crazy because
it just gives you the road where you can start walking.
Right.
Yeah.
But you already had the tools. You just needed to, hey, go down this lane.
And that, back to your question, the original question about, you know, my experiences in going to school in Beverly Hills, growing up in South Central LA was, you know, you can't strive for something that you don't know is there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Like, if you're not aware of a position to be a marketing director at a clothing brand, you'll never say, my goal is to become a marketing director at a clothing brand.
Yes.
Yeah. You'll never say my goal is to start a record label if you don't know that it's even out there, that there's young people that own record labels and music companies, right? So for me, it was like, this lady exposed me to something. You know what I'm saying? She gave me the exposure that personally I feel like it's in all of us, you know, and my, you know, and so, but the exposure to, and I was pissed at my mom when she was like, yeah, you're going to go to school in Beverly Hills. I'm like, what the fuck is a Persian? I had no, it's like all Persian people. I was like, what is a Persian person? What's Farsi? What is all this? You know, and I was pissed. But it was the best thing for me because I would have went to Dorsey High School where the exposure was very limited.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Man, so you got very lucky, man.
Absolutely.
That's crazy to be put in those types of terms, right? Yeah. Because like when we think about mentors, when we think about people in our lives that have touched our lives or that have essentially like challenged us to be as great as we possibly can, right? When everybody talks about like whatever you set your mind to, you can do. But it's such a brilliant way to look at it in the fact that there are just so many kids, especially the youth, they may just not be exposed to the idea that something in any capacity is fathomable, right, unless they are fortunate enough to be put in a context in which somebody shows them, look, this may have never crossed your mind, but this is a possibility.
Absolutely.
Which may start like a domino effect, if you will, on,
Absolutely.
well, shit, if this is possible, what else is possible?
Absolutely.
It's crazy because you've been fortunate enough to even have that opportunity to be exposed.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of for a lot of people, it doesn't even get there.
Right.
A lot of people, it's you kind of just follow the steps. Like, I'm going to go to school, I'm going to take the classes, I'm going to go to college, I'm going to take the classes, I'm going to have a career in mind that might work. Then you get a job and you kind of go that route. Happens to a lot, and it's not even a bad thing. It's just, but it is a special moment that you have to recognize when you're like, wait a minute, that light bulb moment's like, wait a minute, I can really do this. And it's beyond like I can or I want to do this. It's almost like, this is what I'm going to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure that's like what you felt like, oh, wait a minute, this is natural to me at this time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, definitely at the time, it's what attracted me. You know what I'm saying? This is what attracted me.
That's a good word.
You know, it was definitely what I loved. I mean, I looked up to my mentors, not my mentors, my idols at the time were Russell Simmons, Jay-Z. So, looking at people like that, it's like, all right, I'm gonna follow those footsteps.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And
it can be done.
Yeah, clothing was huge,
Yeah.
Like that was a big thing in my life.
So you started Majestic Soul freshman year. Mm-hmm. Tell us how that creative bug and that entrepreneurial spirit started to grow within you. Like, was there a pivot moment? Was it like, okay, did you meet some cats? Did you start getting together with different like-minded individuals? Did it morph into something else during that time? Like, what was freshman year of high school? It's crazy also that, shout out to this lady.
Nadine, shout out to Nadine Jolson. I remember her name.
Nadine Jolson. Shout out to
Jolson
Nadine
Creative
Jolson.
was her PR and marketing company. I'll never forget her.
Because you know what's really wild though in that, like, I studied entrepreneurship in college, but like at that point you're studying. There's certain people that have a bug like that and an ability, and there are others that just work really hard to do it. But the beauty about your scenario is that freshman year of high school, where there's really not a care in the world, if you will, right? It's merely like an idea, creativity sprouting. You're not looking at it like, shit, I gotta make this into a business. It's just allowing your creativity to flourish, if you will, right? What grew from that? Did that like give you just that burning desire that like anything was possible?
Well, honestly, like at that time, we moved to LA.
Okay.
We moved here and moved in with my grandmother in South Central. Okay. And it was because
I love your grandmother, bro.
Thank you.
She is fucking amazing. Bro, if you meet his grandmother, she is honestly one of the most amazing spirits, even to this day, bro. She'll tell you to shut the fuck up.
Right.
And keep it moving, bro.
Yeah. So thank you. I appreciate that. I love her too. We moved here and to South Central LA. The whole experience was my family was going through financial troubles.
Work.
And so when you said there was a care in the world for me,
Gotcha.
My drive was like, it was what caused my parents to, I thought the financial troubles was what caused my parents to split up.
Really?
And divorce, or not divorce, but separate.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And so in my head, I was like, okay, all I gotta do is make money and I'll fix my family.
Wow.
Damn,
that was my
deep.
drive. And that was where my artistry met my entrepreneurial side, because it was like, oh, I'm gonna sell this shit. I'm gonna sell, like, even before I was making clothes, I was selling shit.
It was life or death.
Yeah, I was selling. AJ, our boy, who was my big brother, right, was putting me on to selling shit at the school. So I was selling, he was hooking me up with Techno Marine watches. He had the fake Jordans, all this shit. And I was selling the shit that he had at my school.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was the
Wait, when did y'all meet?
We met.
This is way young then.
Yeah. I met AJ when I was in high school. He was in high school with Fred.
Oh.
They went. My brother and AJ went to high school together at Loyola.
Shout out to AJ Roland and Fred, Big Fred.
I kind of for sure. I was slanging things at school already.
Got it.
And so that's where my
so for
drive.
you saw your parents' you saw the happy home crumble because of what you thought, whether it was to that degree or just there were so many different things that at that time we may or may not know, but like, you know what I'm saying, like that financial burden was something that you thought, that ailment you wanted to be able to cure.
Right, for sure. Yeah, I thought I was gonna fix that.
Word.
That's so interesting. It's like it's very selfless if you think about it. It's just like your motivation comes from just wanting to fix your parents' marriage as a kid, as a fucking kid, man. That's crazy. That's some heavy shit at the time.
Yeah.
So how did it grow from Majestic Soul? What was the next step after that? Like you built your first brand. You built your first clothing line. Did you actually even think of it as a brand at a time or just a clothing line?
Nah, it was a brand to me. I mean, we called it a clothing line. Lifestyle brand wasn't a word at the time.
Right.
But we were throwing parties to go with the clothes.
Gotcha.
It was organic. You know what I'm saying? It was very naive in what we were doing, but it was fun. So I did that, made some t-shirts, made some hats, I was sneaking into the fucking Magic trade show when I was like 15 years old in Vegas.
Wow.
In Vegas with a fake ID on the strip
How
by
was it
myself.
back then?
Oh, those were the glory days of Magic.
Really?
I'm talking Fat Farm, Rockaware,
Yes.
millions, like talking about you go to the Fat Farm party and it was a fucking buffet of lobster, shrimp, open bar, everything. Like
and it was
I was 15 years old in there by myself with a fake ID. I was on the strip. I thought I very rarely do I ever sit back and look and be like, damn dog, you doing some shit, But like,
And was this still Majestic Soul?
This was Majestic Soul. My first time going to Vegas. I was there for Majestic Soul, and it was wild. And I met Russell Simmons that time.
Really?
Yeah.
What was that like?
I met Russell at the Fat Farm party. I spoke to him. He was sitting off by himself on this BlackBerry. And I walked up to him. I was like, I got to talk to this guy. That's my idol. I got to go talk to him.
Yeah.
Like, and he looked at me at first and was like, what the fuck are you doing here? You're way too young to be in this party. You know? And I was like, I just want some advice. Like, just tell me, what can I do? And he was like, the first thing he said to me, he's like, you're breathing the same air I am. So you're doing something right.
Damn.
And I was
That's
like,
a bomb.
and I said to him,
That is a super gem.
yeah, bro. And I was like, thank you, man. I was like, I'll see you around. And I walked away.
And that was it.
That was it.
That was the advice.
That was the end of the conversation. He was like, you're breathing the same air I am, so you're doing something right.
Wow.
What
did that do for you? Like, were you just like what was that like for you at 15 years old?
I knew after he said that, you walk away. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's when you drop the mic and walk away. Like, I didn't even say shit. And I was like, I'm out of there. And that was it. And I was like, back to work, like back to work. So yeah, that was quite an experience.
That's wild. Yeah. So you get back.
Yeah, you get back.
What was the next endeavor? Like, so your entrepreneurial bug was hit. You slanging stuff at the high school. What was like the next chapter, I guess? Was it during high school still? Or did you graduate and then, decide to make a move that kind of birthed the next journey? Yeah,
like what was it that took you from I'm doing this in high school to I'm going to be doing this as a career?
Right. So when I had that Adobe Illustrator Photoshop program, I went ham on that. Like I was working on that shit every day. Right.
This is before YouTube videos, fellas, so you can't just watch these instructional videos.
Yeah.
You gotta use your imagination and be like,
y'all breathing the same motherfucking air as he is. You
trial and error.
True shit. Nah, I'm talking every day, like 4 a.m, cooking, like self-taught, completely graphic design, right?
Yep.
So,
that's incredible.
And at this point, right, I'm this dude, right, young cat, 15, designing his own clothes, selling the clothes, whatever. College Dropout comes out.
Word.
Kanye West.
Yep.
Right? And I was banging his shit all day in my ears, listening to music in class, whatever. had a really interesting run-in with him when I was in high school. You know?
Really? What was that like?
So
He was about to brush that off too. Like,
Wait, so this is still in high school?
This is in high school.
Wow.
What year?
Kanye's was my favorite artist when Through the Wire came out, right?
Word.
So I was telling everybody, yo, you gotta fuck this dude Kanye West. Like, he's dope as fuck. And it was like kind of how like some of our homies are now, up and coming, nobody knows him, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, yo, you gotta bump this dude Kanye West. He's dope.
When that video first came out.
Right. So I go to the El Rey Theater. Kanye West, Day College Dropout comes out.
You were how old?
I was probably 16 at the time. 17.
You went from Russell to Yeezy. You
Yeah.
feel me? Like,
So I'm at the El Rey Theater. Me, my brother, and my cousin and my homie. No IDs, no, can't drink, right? But we wanted to drink. So my brother, being a finagle, you know, sneaky guy, finesser,
he is.
you know what I'm saying, Mr. Finesse, he grabs these wristbands from behind the bar.
Get it.
So we're like, oh, we're drinking, boom, getting drinks. But then we see cats going backstage with the same bands. We're like, wait, are these some other shits? Like, we try to walk backstage with the bands. We get backstage.
wow.
So El Rey
What up,
Theater.
Fred?
Shout out to
you.
my brother Fred. I got some stories and finesse with him. So we're backstage at the El Rey, and if you've been there before, you're on the stage, right?
Right.
So I'm sitting there. I got me a little Hennessy, and Selena Johnson's next to me. She's like, little boy, what are you doing and what are you drinking? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, and you know, I'm trying to be big dog. So I'm like, this is some Hennessy, girl. You know? She's like, let me get some of that. I'm like, all right, for sure. Boom. You know, it's this little Mexican cat at the end of the row of people rolling joints, and he's passing them. And I hit the joint. I pass to my left is Dame Dash. You know, Dame Dash right there. I passed him the joint. And mind you, like, Rockefeller was my shit, you know, so
yeah.
I'm already bugging, right?
Were you like passing, and was it like one of those passes where you just like pass, or did you like happen to turn around and be like, oh,
yeah, it's kind of dark, but you pass, and the hand that reaches out is Dame's. I'm like, oh, Dame's here, you know. So then I see this little light skinned mini baby Afro cat walk out, sit down on the keys. It's John Legend. John hadn't even come out yet.
Bro.
Right?
I can't. He was about to brush off this story, bro.
Yeah, nah, he didn't come out yet. John Legend didn't come out. So then, and I was Kanye's #1 fan. True shit. Like, campaigning for the fashionistas, the creatives, the different kid. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was that dude. So come down the stairs. Kanye comes out with an orange, blue, green polo shirt, collar pop, backpack, Louis Vuitton backpack, the whole shit. Walked out,
like, bro.
And he walked out, and I shook his hand. I was like, "Let's go." And he went on stage and turned the fuck up. The show was crazy.
Wow. Yeah. And you're watching this from backstage?
I'm watching this shit from backstage. I'm on the stage.
I'm watching this from back on the stage.
I'm on the stage. I'm just behind him.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So it's like I look like the entourage. I'm 16 years old, 17 years old. So, and we'll get back to kind of the story of how but I want to tell you guys full circle how life kind of plays out.
Okay.
Right? 2 years ago, my boy Casey Veggies does a show at the El Rey Theater with Travis Scott. And I'm backstage. You know, I work in the industry now, right? So I'm speeding up a little bit, but I'm backstage with Travis Scott and Casey, and Tyler's there, Tyler the Creator. In walks Kanye.
Wow.
You feel me?
Flashback moment.
I'm literally, it's funny.
Flashback to flash forward.
Yeah, literally, I'm standing in the same position though.
Shut the fuck up.
And I get goosebumps every time I tell this story. I walked up to Kanye. Everybody's looking at him like, yo, Ye's here. And then I start walking. It's like the Sandlot where the dude's kid's about to do it, and everybody's like, oh, he's about to do it. He's about to go kiss. What's your name? Peppercorn. What's the little bitch name? He's about Cindy Peppercorn or Peppercorn, whatever. It's like he's about to go do it. So I start walking towards Ye. And I was like, hey, bro, I just wanted to tell you, like, when you were performing here at the El Rey Theater on Wilshire Boulevard, I was here backstage. Huge fan. I snuck in, and I just wanted you to know, I knew you were going to do this. I was your biggest fan, and you inspired me. And I was like, yo, these are my homies now, and I'm here legit, like, the nigga, you know?
Yeah.
And he goes, wow. He's like, that's crazy. I remember that show. You know, he's like, wow, that's crazy. And I was like, I just want to tell you respect. I'll see you around. Walk away like, no, I don't want no numbers.
Nah,
no, let's work.
Nah.
I just know meeting number 3.
Yeah.
Is going to be some shit.
Full circle.
You feel me? Yeah. So.
By the way, goosebumps, bro.
Yeah, man. So you know, let's bring it back to my experience of discovering Kanye, college dropout. I left high school. I dropped out of high school early. A year early.
I didn't know you dropped out.
Yeah, my junior year in high school.
Oh, really?
Right? I was like, I was playing baseball. I was like, I'm done playing baseball.
Okay.
I'm on my entrepreneurial shit. I'm making clothes. I'm selling clothes. I want to bounce. I found out about this little proficiency exam. I took the exam and I passed and I dipped.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So did you get like your GED?
Yeah. So I got the GED joint, right? And I was super nice with graphic design.
Word.
So I started designing for people, doing logos and shit and making money.
Okay.
You know, and went to a JC, you know, was making bread, doing graphic design, little shit here and there. Had got a cool little job, you know what I'm saying, doing graphic design for a graduate school of psychology. Just basically had an office at like 17 years old.
Really?
Like my own office and shit, making some cool bread. So I would come back up to the school, like stunting on my homies and shit.
And is Majestic Soul still going?
So I switched the name from Majestic Soul and now it's called Stay Fresh. Okay. Right? And fresh stood for freedom, rhythm, expression, style, humanity.
That's fucking epic.
And it was, you know, it was my shit. You know what I'm saying? It was like, I never actually made any of those tees. Right? Cause I then found out later that was like, that name was already taken.
Fresh, right?
Yeah. Stay Fresh.
It was a
snowboard company that wanted like fresh snow. Got it. So I was like, all right, I gotta scratch this shit.
Word.
And from there, driving down the street, down the freeway on the 110 downtown, I looked up and it said something about Los Angeles, woo, woo, woo. And I was like, LA Times, Los Angeles Times, you know? So that birthed my next brand, which is called LAX.
Word.
LAX Paper Boys.
Word.
Right? And so that,
the history, bro.
yeah, that was the LAX Paper Boys was kind of the start of when shit started to become more legit for me. You know what I'm saying?
How so?
Just because it was one of those ones where I don't know how so. I think it just was a timing thing.
Word.
You know, people just start pick up on it. You know,
And that was still like clothing.
that was clothing, but it was
Like
a lot of parties too.
Of
Yeah,
all you've been through, and now like you're hitting that point where you're starting to go from a young man to a man.
well, and I'm 18 probably at the time. You know? So still didn't know what the hell I was doing. And so yeah, that was my next shit. Around the same time, I met a homie of mine named Dom Kennedy.
Word.
Actually, excuse me, Dominic Hunt. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And that was when I was just like I met him when I was a junior in high school.
Okay.
So we became cool. Whole crew of his homies. We are all friends at the time. Mm-hmm. And yeah. So
is he older than you? Same age?
No, Dom's older than me.
Okay.
Yeah, Dom's like 4 years older than me. It's my brother's age, so he was friends with my brother.
Got it.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So, and at this time you have LAX Paper Boys.
Mm-hmm. LAX Paper Boys.
And
Yeah.
that's parties, clothes. On the side, you got your digital or your graphic design company doing logos, brand stuff for all different types of companies.
Mm-hmm.
So, what was the next step from there that, after that, where you're like, all right, I've got to bring this together, or what came after that, or how'd that birth the next step?
Well, if I'm not mistaken, you were very instrumental in the early days of Dom. Was it?
Right. So, how did that start? Right. So we were throwing parties. My first party in high school, my sophomore year with Majestic Soul.
Right.
And I just
so parties in your clothing brands. There wasn't the lifestyle brand tag, but it was like, all right.
It was a
we were doing it before motherfuckers were doing that shit.
With clothing comes parties.
He just didn't know that word was a possibility.
No,
yet. Yeah.
But it was just like, oh, we're just gonna push this. But it wasn't like labeled as that like it is now, where it's like now everything is.
No, so we were doing that. Like
Yeah.
that was before it was a title.
That was the lifestyle.
We were doing it. Yeah.
Where were the parties?
The first one from Majestic Soul was at the YMCA in Beverly Hills. The Beverly Hills
Shout out to Beverly Hills Little League. Shout out to the Spurs, bro.
Right. The Beverly Hills YMCA, the fucking Jewish
Basketball.
fucking dude who ran the spot, like let us in, let us do the whole shit. I went and negotiated a contract with him and everything, paid to rent the spot. Yeah. Dude, and the DJ didn't show up. The DJ, oh yeah, I should put buckets up in there. Yeah, the DJ
had that basketball league.
Yeah, and the DJ didn't show up till an hour late. It was a disaster. Dude put a gun on one of the security guards. It was a wild night.
That party
at the party.
Really?
Yeah.
First party.
My first party.
Majestic Soul.
DJ was an hour late, and motherfucker pulled a gun on my shit. On my security guard. Jeez. And my mom banged on him. My mom got on him. My mom was running the door.
Did she?
Collecting the money, yeah, for sure.
Woo! Shout out to Tia. She's such a thug. I love her
amazing.
to death.
So
true.
Parties and clothing was always a
thing, right? So from there, when we fast forward back to the conversation of Dom, right? It was me and my brother would be throwing parties, and Dom was on his music shit, right? He kind of had and so we would have a party. And or he would do a music video, right? And he was like, yo, y'all got the bitches, bring bitches. You know what I'm saying?
Word.
We'll bring bitches to the video. You know what I'm saying? We were having then we were like, yo, we about to have more of these little parties. Get like these parties in the marina, super popping. But I was making
this is with Dom.
Yeah, this was with Dom. And I was making t-shirts at the time still.
Gotcha.
So at the party, even when it wasn't our party, I gotta bring this all full circle for you, right?
Let's go.
So living with my grandmother in South Central, neighbor did some construction, left some wood out, right? Me and my cousin grabbed the wood, built a little table, and would screen print t-shirts in my grandmother's backyard.
Wow, from that table.
LAX Paperboys tees, right? Didn't have a dryer, didn't have anything, so we would dry them in the oven. We would put them on a cookie sheet, put them in the oven and dry it.
I mean, shout out to entrepreneurship,
using
the resources, man. This is such a. I just want to interrupt just because, like, for everyone listening to this, like, this is what it's about. You talk about like what takes you to that next level, like what brings you to any type of success, like. It's being resourceful. It's creating something literally out of nothing.
Yes.
Being like really utilizing the word creative. Like you are fucking creating things and using what's around you. There's no excuses, and you don't even think about like, oh, we don't have a table, so we're not selling shit. Oh, we have nothing to dry it. It's just like that's gonna happen. It's just how do you figure out how?
Yes.
It's a very unique thing. It's about those little things that actually make the big things happen.
Word.
It's not about like, you can't focus on the big opportunities. You're like, those big opportunities wouldn't be there without little moments like this. And it's that state of mind that actually allows you to get there.
Yes.
It's very interesting, man. Like those little things really fucking matter.
Yeah, absolutely.
So y'all were really
cooking.
cooking.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
I just really want, I just love how special that is. It's just like, I don't take that for granted. Like, people want to know how to make it in this industry, in any industry. It's like you gotta have a vision and you gotta take it there, man.
Whatever it takes.
Literally whatever it takes. And if you don't have it, you make it. It's you figure it out.
Yeah.
That's the quality. You could take that quality and go in any route, and maybe you'll fail 100 times, but you have to have that quality to it's like a variable, and you put that towards anything. That's what it actually is a catalyst.
And
for
you
a lot
think
of things.
about the notion of seizing the moments, right? Like, like y'all were seizing the moments before like these moments were even presented. It's like you were at the crib with your grandmother. Construction guys left the wood. Y'all created a table. That's where y'all were doing the printing at. Y'all didn't have any means to dry the shit, but you only had your locale, so fuck it, let's use the oven.
And it's not even, and you started, it's not even your party, but you're still seeing an opportunity. I think seeing the opportunity and then seizing the opportunity go together. And it's those things that I just feel like need shine. Not like the big stuff. It's just like grows. Like the more you grow, the bigger things get.
Right.
But it's about this little foundation that of opportunities, and then seizing them in those ways is what really launches you.
Right.
Just wanted to point that out. Sorry, man.
Keep it's all going. Good.
No, don't worry. The roast just got done. Now he's opening the oven. The shirt's dry.
The shirt is dry. I love that. I just
got a good 30 seconds in there. You
bro,
good.
I love hearing stuff like that.
Yeah. No, true shit. So that's how it happened. And we were printing tees. And around this time, you know, like I said, we were throwing parties, and we would have at our first holiday party, we had Dom perform.
Word.
And
was he buzzing at this time?
No.
So he's still super
he didn't have anything popping.
Okay.
Like we had just shot a video. We were like starting to put this video out on YouTube, all that shit.
Yeah.
And all this was new, right? But he didn't even get to perform at this party.
Really?
Because the mics were fucked up. We didn't know what we were doing. He didn't get to perform. There was another group he had met in a studio where he recorded named Rapture Camp.
Okay.
That wanted
Rapture Camp, bro.
That wanted to perform.
Wait, Rapture Camp.
Yeah.
Rapture Camp.
Thurs is the original crew.
Thurs and You and I. And YO and all those cats.
Pre You and I.
Also part of Rapture Camp. Tech kind of like honorary members, whatever, however the relationship with was Pacific Division.
Yep.
Cut like one of the cats, mutual cousins, friends, all that shit, Div, Blue Collar, Diz Gabron, all homies, right?
Yep.
So, and then grew up, my generation was Scheme, crew called Fresh to Death was their little neighborhood, little crew, whatever, Scheme, all these cats, right?
Yeah.
So, we would throw the parties, these cats would come through, and that's how I started to meet all of them.
Got you.
They didn't have shit popping either,
no.
But it was like we all were just hungry, right?
It was the wild, wild west then.
Yeah, so they started coming through my grandmother's crib because they saw everybody wearing the tees. And they would come to my grandmother's crib before the parties. Before any party, they'd be like, yo, I need a shirt.
That's hilarious.
Print it out for you. Boom.
Wow. How long did it take the shirts to dry in the oven?
Like a minute, you know what I'm saying? Like a good minute, you
Dude,
put it in there.
He had it preheated on 450.
Dog.
Bro.
Oh yeah, the shit was blazing. The whole kitchen was blazing. It was like an old ass oven. I like my hands would get burnt from grabbing the shit so many times and just being quick and didn't have time to do the whole mitten thing, all that shit.
People just
and then,
wearing flaming hot tees, bro.
Yeah, no, it was true. And I have a bad back from because the table that we built was too short.
Yeah.
My back is still bad to this day from printing so many tees back there.
Damn.
So these cats would come through. We would lace them with tees and I'd print right there fresh.
Yeah.
And then we'd go out and everybody would rock the LAX Paperboys tees.
Really dope.
Wild.
And that's how the kind of, when you talk about lifestyle, clothing, and the parties in one, and music.
Yes.
Right? Nobody was doing that. A party with a performance.
No.
It wasn't happening at the time, so that's how that came about. And,
So LAX Paperboys was the next endeavor. When did that transition next? Like what?
So, okay. So,
because if I remember correctly, so I graduated SC in 2009 and got thrown in with you and I at the time. So the Rapture Camp days were way before that, years before that, right? So LAX Paperboys, I remember when I started like really coming on the block in the scene, that the LAX Paperboys was like, I want to say damn, like I was handed cards that said LAX Paperboys on it, and LAX Paperboys was still in the mix. And it was also like, it seems like around that time it was when JBC started to like come around. Am I mistaken, or is that?
No, that's true.
I feel like in that time was when that shift was happening.
Right. So the original JBC shirt was actually an LAX Paperboy shirt that said "Just Be Cool" on it.
Word.
But
the brand was LAX Paperboys.
The brand was LAX Paperboys, and the shirt said "Just Be Cool." And instead of the Cool Head logo, it was the LAX Wings logo, right? And so that stemmed from, me growing up in LA. I have a lot of cousins out here from different gangs.
Word.
Some of them are by marriage. Some of them are same family, same side, everything. Enemies from different hoods.
Yeah.
And that stemmed from me being like trying to create peace amongst them. You know what I'm saying?
What was that like for you, bro? That's crazy.
No, it was cool for me because I had protection in any neighborhood I went in. You know what I'm saying? I was pretty straight through the whole city. But also, when I threw these parties and they all come together, like, we had to make sure it was bitches there because otherwise it was going to be a fight. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And luckily, in like 15 years, actually, the first one was crazy, but then after that, we didn't have any fights.
Wow.
And I was the one who got in the fight in the first one, and it was with the security guard. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but other than that, we were no fights, no nothing, and that was the essence of Just Be Cool. Was like, you can come from different hoods, you can come be whatever, any walk of life, you can come to this party and have a fucking ball, like a great time.
Yeah.
You know, and everybody was family. We knew a lot of people, so everybody was hugs and love. You see some dope artists perform, some new cats. That was the essence of Just Be Cool.
Wow. And did Just Be Cool then become its own brand? So that was like the transition of that, because that's interesting. So what made the move to like end LAX Paperboys, which seemed like pretty successful? It was doing well. Why transition to now Just Be Cool and let that brand take over, or was it just pretty organic?
No, it was organic. I was actually having a conversation with Dom, and it was him and I on the phone, and he was like, I always was feeling it. Like, I want to go global. You know, I don't want it to be just LA. I don't want it to be just LAX. You know, I want to be global and take this thing worldwide. So it was, the conversation with Dom was like, yo, you should just make it JBC. Just Be Cool, you know, and I was like, yeah, let's do that.
So that's very interesting. So now you're thinking like a businessman. Now you're thinking like beyond, like, I'm just, you know, I'm selling T-shirts out of my grandma's backyard at parties to, I want to go global. Like, that's a pretty heavy statement, man. Like, spawning from a conversation, but it's like also the mentality behind it is like, how do you go global? Like, you're talking about jumping into the fashion world and how important it is to think globally if you're going to grow your idol's Fat Farm. How important a name actually is. And you've now gone from what, three different names?
Right.
Yeah. So just to people like listening right now that want to get into fashion, I think, would you say like start with thinking, how do you make this a global thing? Like, how do you start thinking big picture and then scale back to figure out like what your brand is? Because do you feel like that was a hurdle, or that was a roadblock to, you can only go so far with LAX Paperboys? And you're like, I need to make this real, make this pop off, for me to be like my idols, for me to be successful, for me to be a real player in this, I've got to go global. And I've got to make that. And I can't do that just saying LAX Paperboys. Right.
Yeah, it was definitely felt regional, you know, LAX, the whole name.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think although I had that entrepreneurial hustle in me, I'm an artist, you know? And so I went off of feeling. You know,
interesting.
My feelings drove my decisions. Yeah, my gut feeling was like, oh, okay, let's do this. You know, I don't want to do this no more. And if you look at kind of the journey of the brands and the names, you kind of can tell the story of my life and who I was and my maturity and the paths and the people I was hanging out with. You know,
very true.
In my
You put it that way, because like that just made me like look at it completely differently.
Yeah. I mean, I could walk you through it, but you look at Majestic Soul was me saying, hey, I'm black in this fucking all white and Persian neighborhood, but this is the black culture and it's dope. You know what I'm saying? Like, then it was,
y'all gonna fuck with me. I'm Majestic.
Then it was Stay Fresh. And this was me coming into my fly shit. Like, oh, I'm fly now. I'm a young, I got all the fly shit, you know. Then it became, you know, LAX, where, you know, that was me getting into trouble. You know what I'm saying? That was me kicking it with the cats that I shouldn't be kicking it with, selling the weed, doing all the shit, you know, and, you know,
down for the city type shit.
Yeah, just being a wild little kid, you know, and then Just Be Cool was me being like, nah, we need to do something different.
Word.
You know what I'm saying? We need to be positive and cool, you know?
Word.
It's interesting because, like, in telling about this journey is like, you're not even thinking about this necessarily as a business, like as a mature adult businessman who's like, I'm going to come up with a brand, a clothing line, we're going to get worldwide distribution, and we're going to market. You're not even thinking in that realm. It's just every step is happening organically. But through that, you're learning extremely valuable stuff about sales, about marketing, about branding, about bringing people together, bringing people together behind a brand.
Yeah.
And I think that's stuff that you can't really like learn in a textbook. And it's probably the reason why you've been able to be successful in this, because you understand the synergy that's needed to be created between just a clothing line and a community that is behind this clothing line, that it becomes bigger than actually the name.
You know what's wild? I think you hit the nail on the head there, because like in looking at Gavin, like in just going through the story, like it's crazy because like, let's shout out to the fact that, you know, one of the big, I'm a sidebar here, and Gav knows this, is that like I go after people, and this is my gift and my curse, because everybody that I meet, and especially everybody that I've had a relationship with, and naturally people with good energy connect and they vibe, and you know, we may see each other at a party and it's what's up, what's going on, it's cordial. But like I've made it a point, especially in the last like year or two, to really like hear people's stories, right? Which has ultimately led to this pathway and this podcast coming out, to where even though a lot of these people, Joe, that we have on are good friends of ours, it's like, yeah, we know each other, but let's wipe the slate clean and let's like run through this.
Yeah.
Because this is something beyond us. Like when we look at this, it's like, bro, like the youth and the culture that are going to be able to hear this is going to be able to impact them, because they'll be able to see that it went from point A to point Z and there was no rhyme or reason. Right.
And not to cut you off, Nushi, but off
But
I just did, bro. But quickly off that point is that when you say there's no rhyme or reason, it kind of debunks what I said earlier about, if, you know, would you tell someone who wants to get into fashion, like, okay, first think about things globally, then go back. Like, no, it's not about that. And that's what I want to kind of hear, because a lot of people will think like almost logically, or like try to have like some formal thing of like, this is 1 + 1 = 2.
Yeah.
To make this pop off. But nah, that wasn't it at all. We're talking about someone who left high school early, didn't go to college, and just followed a feeling the entire way.
But had a belief.
But had the belief, but understood all the X factor components that actually makes a brand pop off.
Do you know what I think? What I really think is one of the biggest like separators of yourself from the masses, and also like a quality of yours that has allowed you to continue to push the envelope with every passing day. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm going to make a very bold assumption here, is that Gavin has an incredible ability to build community, to build a tribe full of people that believe what he believes in, right? That shout out to Simon Sinek, in that people are not buying what you're doing, because what you were doing was parties, clothing, lifestyle, this and that. Anybody has the capability of doing that. But the why in which you were throwing these parties and having these clothing items and the driving forces were the catalyst in creating these communities. Now, your communities haven't always remained the same, which is another testament to your growth as not only a human being, but a creative, right? Naturally, we all grow. We reach different bounds within us. We start seeing that certain people aren't who we should be kicking it with. Certain people are those that we should bring much closer to us. But one of the biggest things I feel like is a huge testament to your growth as a being and a creative in this world, and it is still yet to reach its fucking maximum potential, because I feel like it never will. And don't take me wrong in this, your maximum potential will never be reached per se because you have no max limit. It'll just continue to build off of itself within the experiences. But like what I've been hearing and what I know personally about you is that the biggest factor in all of these things and what keeps getting hit time and time again is the community in which you're able to build around an idea, an aspiration, a want to like not only inform, educate, and impact, but to like have people see and believe in, let's go back to the freshman year, the possibilities, right?
Right. No,
That's
absolutely
crazy to me, bro.
Yeah, I used to think to myself in this, when I was kind of starting some of these earlier companies.
Yeah.
I never felt like I was selling clothes. You know, I even remember I was writing a bio, and the first thing I started writing was, you know, Fresh or Stay Fresh at the time is a creative energy company.
Word.
You know, we were creating energy. Just Be Cool was creating energy. And I think the best thing that I ever sold without selling it, right? But the thing that people purchased the most from me was my energy. You know, and that, you know, probably didn't make $1 million in, well, I haven't made $1 million at all, but made $1 million in, my success wasn't in selling the clothes so much. You know, it was the energy and the things that I've been.
It was transferring your being.
Yeah, and the opportunities that opened because of the way that I made people feel or the energy that I gave them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the vibes and the community. You know what I'm saying? It's like the story and the bloodline runs deep. You know,
it's wild because, like, as you said, the arts and the creative world is your passion, right? That's the foundational element that's gonna continue to guide your legacy to the moon and back, right? But the beauty of the way that it's been positioned with you is you're not only just in the creative world, right? From a sense of fashion and design, it's you have been an arbiter. Correct me if I'm using the wrong word. I love how I like throw random words.
Keep
in
it going,
sounds
dude.
Right in this
Keep it going.
But you have brought so many creatives together, whether it be in the music space, in the fashion space, in the art space, and have been a big brother, a curator, a bridge between folks. You know what I'm saying? Like, so we've gotten from LAX Paperboys to JBC. I want to continue to talk about your growth from, you know, your different echelons, because we'll get to youth and we'll get to where we are now. But let's take a second and stop in that moment, because I don't think a lot of cats know how big of an impact you've had in the music scene as well, right? Being that you've been such a community player and a tribal leader, if you will. During that time especially was when LA was bubbling, right? It was when Rapture Camp became You and I. Pac Div was fucking bossing up. Dom was getting his buzz. Casey was in high school fucking with his lisp and doing it and had the tenacity. Anwar and Josh was there behind them, like ready to go. Like, let's talk about what that was like. LA, like 2008 to like 2011 time period.
Right.
And also your shift into music in that, like,
Right.
And I mean, yeah, let's make that jump.
Right.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So again, one of my idols, Russell Simmons. You know, like I said, was, you know, I always felt like the music side was always there, something that had to be part of it, you know, and the culture. And so we were, you know, me promoting these events and parties turned into me working with these artists. My relationship with Dom was a more organic one as friends, but we're throwing parties, we're putting you on stage, we're basically marketing and promoting you.
Yep.
You know, I was kind of had a friend of mine, a female friend of mine, And she pulled me aside one day and was like, yo, like, you're doing cool stuff. I need you to talk to my brother. You know, my brother, he's 15 years old. He's a producer. He actually goes by the name 15, but he's dope as fuck. I'm like, oh, okay. Let me meet him. Well, this dude is by the name of Axel Foley, one half of what was a production team called THC. And me and Axel was my little bro. You know, fucking lived with me for some months, you know.
Okay.
I was like, come on, Axel, I'm going to help you out. So I started kind of like lightweight managing him.
So when you say I'm going to help you out, like, you're just going to be like, look, I have resources now. I know marketing. I've been working with so many artists. Let me just help you get kind of exposure.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's the naive, just come on, let's go.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Just
Whatever
let's
I can
just
do to
kick
help,
it.
let's do it.
I like your music. I'll tell people about it.
Yeah.
I know some people in the game that are like on the low level. I'll get your beats to them, you know? And so took him with me, you know, and was like, come on. So, Axel, you know, then met Rick, on his own terms. And he was like, yo, I want you to come over and meet my boy, Rick Briggs, the other half of THC. You know, they were their production. I mean, Axel genius, Rick genius on the music shit. So for now it was like, all right, now I'm about to bring cats to y'all. You know, I'm going to bring people to you guys. So, shit, I can't, everybody that's come through their studio on the account of us, you know, like, one of them, that was a big relationship for them, you know, Dave Free, cat that we've known from around LA. Started working with, well, I was already working with cat, was working with J-Rock and a cat named K-Dot. Right. And it was, K-Dot was this young rapper, boom, boom, boom. We were actually throwing a festival, a little mini part, like performance. And they pulled up and it was like, yo, can we get Schoolboy and Kendrick on the bill? I was like, who's Kendrick? Oh, K-Dot changed his name to Kendrick Lamar. And I was like, oh, okay, for sure. Like, let's see what's up, you know? And so we didn't put him on the bill because it was so late. You know, flyer was already out. But actually, Kendrick was on the bill. Schoolboy Q couldn't get on the bill. And so at that time was when Kendrick met Rick and them, Axel. And we were like, yo, y'all got to come through the studio.
They made some monster records together, bro.
What, Money Trees was their shit. They got Grammy nominations.
Monster records together, bro.
Monster.
Yeah, they got joints, man. And we brought them through the studio. Rick opened a little studio downtown. We brought Kendrick and them through the studio. Another group by the name of Overdose approached us like, yo, y'all got the city buzzing. We need help marketing. Well, we sat down with them. We're like, oh, you need help with management too. Like, you don't have anything. So me and my brother Fred just began to manage them. We put out their first album mixtape, which is called Live For, Die For.
Classic.
Crazy. It was crazy. And
you were just like, as now a manager, as a marketing manager, it's like all
hats, bro.
All hats. You just kind of learned as you went.
Yeah.
Because it's the music industry. It can be a very complicated industry, but like distributing records, putting together stuff, linking people up, and this is just all very, very like, let's go, like hit the streets, let's take it there.
Right. Yeah, I'm probably 21 at the time, 22 maybe.
Yeah.
At the time.
Yeah.
And
so at this point, did you start seeing like, okay, because were you still doing Just Be Cool at the time too? Yeah,
I was still doing Just Be Cool.
So Just Be Cool is still going on. You're still your baby. And now this management, working with artists, that's starting to be a part of you too.
Yeah.
Did you start to see like, did you have the mentality of like, I'm going to go this route of music, like consciously, or was it still organic, like the clothing? Like, this is just a feel. I just want to help out people. So I'm just doing this because I feel like I could add value here.
Right.
Or was it like a conscious thing, like I'm going to be in music now?
No, it was conscious in the sense that, like I said, Russell Simmons, Rockefeller, Rock-Aware, it was real. People were already doing music and clothing.
Yeah.
So
It
that
just
wasn't
made sense.
tough. Yeah, that just made sense, you know?
Yeah.
And so, but to me, I was still super young, super naive, unknowing of what we really were doing, you know, truthfully. And so, so yeah, it was still just by the, what they say, by the seat of your pants or whatever, just moving.
So, so this is still like very much the grind, and you're still like, you know, I always like to talk about like the grind and like the struggle and like just that beautiful time where everything is just coming together, starting from zero and building up, and like how many like amazing creative things and like new ideas and free ideas, and how much like drive you have and how much like motivation you have to make things different and fun. But from that point, like, what would you say was the first time it kind of like crossed that, like went to the next real level where you're like, oh, shit is now popping off on a major level? Like, what, you know, because it takes a while to get there, and a lot of people come very close to there but don't cross over. For you, when was it that crossover, that kind of like turning point where you're like, oh shit, now things are really popping off?
You know, I think when you say the word popping off, right, and when things are really, I think you get into the conversation of what is success, you know?
Start to get there,
yeah. You start to get to that, like, what is your goal, you know? And I don't think you ever get to that place until you have some trials and tribulations and some losses, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And I think, for me, I got to the place of, just the trials and tribulations and like a self-realization place where I had to like really reflect on like, what am I creating and is this what I want?
So as you're juggling all these things, that's when you start asking yourself those questions.
Yeah.
I feel like we had a really wild conversation like at this time at AJ's spot, around this time.
Probably, honestly, like, yeah, like probably like even a little after this, but definitely like that conversation was in the time period where I was going through a self-realization moment, you know, and really trying to understand. And I think that's something that's a takeaway from all this that I hope everybody could get, is that, you know, the journey of self is what this is about.
100%.
You know, it's the
Bang.
you know,
Bang. The man said the journey of self is what this is about.
Yeah. You know,
Bang.
Drops mic. Walks off. What's up, Russell?
Yeah.
Great to meet you. Thank you.
no, it's real shit, man. And it was like, you know, that for me was when you say what crossed over.
Yeah.
You know, that moment of enlightenment.
What sparked that?
Well, what was that for you?
Yeah, and what was it?
Man, you know, I think so. I would say that the moment of loss, you know, the moment of being stripped down.
What kind of loss?
On a career level, you know, on a personal level, just struggle, family struggle, and just on an internal level, like losing yourself, you know.
Because it seems like during that time, like, you know, you're working with all these great artists, Just Be Cool's going well. Where's this loss? Internally, like, it sounds like things on the surface are actually going well.
Right.
So when is that like internal feeling of like, is it like a misdirection or like what am I doing moment, or is it just like I'm kind of doing almost everything, so I'm kind of lost?
Right.
Or what is that?
So for me, it was a point of, one, it looks cool, but am I happy? You know, it feels good to you, but does it feel good to me?
Word.
You know what I'm saying?
Word.
Yeah.
And am I burning myself out, or am I getting this reciprocation back? You know what I'm saying? Like,
I'm giving my all to you, but what am I really getting?
Yeah, am I being like sucked dry of everything that I have, and still like eager to give more? Or am I like, whoa, pump your brakes? Like, I'll be here for a while. I'll be here later. You know, come back and do another show later.
That's such a taxing feeling, is it not?
It was, and honestly, I had to really pump the brakes on everything. You know, and there's been a couple moments in my career. One might have looked at me and been like, "Yo, you're crazy. Yeah, you had it all. I have more now." You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But you know, to the outside in, what it looks like versus what it is. And me, I've been able to constantly grow and move up in the ladder, you know? So at that moment, you know, I went through a breakup within my crew of homies, mistrust. I went through, a really like tough depression and relationship with a girlfriend at the time whose father had passed. And I was dealing with my own father who was sick, you know, who had been diagnosed with dementia. And he was living with me, you know, I was taking care of him. And so I went through all these things and had like the darkest period of my life.
And talk about playing both sides of the spectrum, bro. Yes. Like, man, it's because it's like, you know, we're having a conversation of like, that's what even sparked the question for me. I was like, so when did it pop off? Because I'm hearing like Kendrick, I'm hearing Dom, I'm hearing like Just Be Cool's going crazy, you're managing and putting THC together. Like, these things are great. We're getting to that moment, and then it's all about wait. Let's pull that curtain back for a second and see what's on the inside.
Right.
And yeah, it's like, you know, to a lot of people, they would love to be in your shoes at that time. A lot of people that aren't from LA, a lot of people that just will do anything to like make it in music or make it in fashion, who are living in like middle America or even another country would be like, bro, you're living life, man. Like, this is amazing. And it sounds like that, but then when you have to like, it's not even about that. That's
but
not.
Those a lot of people don't want to know what it's like to truly live in said person's shoes.
Well, and this is where perspective of success really comes into play. Of like, what is that perspective? What is the reality of success? What is the reality of this industry? Then you pull back that curtain, and not only are you dealing with all your personal issues, but like mistrust, also the feeling of not being reciprocated, not the feeling of like you need to be where you want to be for all that you've given, where you're not there yet. And you kind of got to go through that before you can even take that next step to the next level. You don't even identify that yet.
Right.
What allowed you to kind of, I guess, I don't know exactly how to put it. Like, what allowed you to truly like pivot from that point?
Back up, you mean?
Yeah. Well, not even back up, because like that's assuming that like the moment you made a decision, you're like on top again. But all of these things are going on in your head. You've built communities. You're putting bridges together amongst friends and comrades and community that you've naturally built. You're dealing with personal struggles, trials, and tribulations. You're looking at yourself in the mirror. You're seeing what people are seeing, but you're also not seeing you, right? There's weights on your shoulder that you know you're known for, but you also know that you may not want to be known for this shit anymore, and it may be hard to like shed the skin. But what was that moment for you where you were like, you know what? Fuck this. I've got to make a change. And this is what I'm going to do. People may think I'm crazy. You may have gotten told you're fucking crazy for doing said thing. But what was that moment like of like really hitting that vulnerable level of being like, you know what, fuck it, something's got to change. I'm not feeling right. And then what was it that felt right to you And that led your new charge at that point.
Mm-hmm. You know, I think at the time, you know, what do they say? Like, you know, I'm here, I'm giving energy to the people, right? That's my number one product, right? So, and they say, you know, a three-legged chair can't hold anybody up, you know?
Up.
And so
Dang.
I got hit with a blow with my father, you know, these things, and it hit me hard, but it was like, and it was a couple blows at the same time.
Yeah.
You know, that hit me.
Crazy.
Well, it was crazy, and it was like, I was already in my head thinking like, yo, you kind of weak right now. You weary. You know what I'm saying? Like you're giving it your all.
Your knees is buckling, but you're still standing.
Yeah,
right
but
now.
you weary, and then you get hit with a blow, and it's like, go back to the gym. You know what I'm saying? Work on your chin, like get your strength back. And it was a moment of realization where I was like, nothing should be able to knock me off my rocker like that.
Word.
You know, I learned something that there's cause and effect, but prior to the cause is what you call the condition. And it's the condition that you went into the circumstance with.
Yeah.
If you go into the fight weak, you're going to lose. Yep. You're going to come out beat up.
Word.
But if you go into the fight strong, you're going to come out cool.
Yep.
You're going to come out triumphant. And I realized that at that point in my life, like, you got to empower yourself. You have to strengthen yourself. You got to be ready for the blows to come and be able to take them and keep it moving, you know? Yeah. And taking 3 blows at once, I knew that was God telling me, yo, sit down for a second.
Yeah.
You know, you got a long life ahead of you. Sit down, get your shit right now. And then let's restart this journey again.
Got you.
You know, and let's do it with, you know, with the right set of tools and preparation for it.
So you sat down.
I sat down for a year, you know.
You went to the gym.
I sat down. I went to the gym. I went to the spiritual center.
Yeah.
You know, I went to yoga. You know, I really got into my self-realization period.
Yeah.
You know, about who I am and what do I need, you know.
Now, after that year hiatus, in your mind, who were you and what was it that you were setting out to do at that point?
You know, who am I now, right? So I just became a vessel, you know. I became a vessel and a messenger for the world, for the universe, for God, you know what I'm saying? For what it is that my vision, you know, the things that come to me that I attract, I just became a spokesperson for them and a tool to create them.
Yeah.
You know, so it was at that point that I realized that, you know, my relationship with self is my relationship with the world.
Word.
You know.
Hold up. Can you repeat that? Cause that's a fucking yogi gem right there. What was that?
My relationship with self, your relationship with self is your relationship with the world.
I'm just getting the podcast now, bro. Gem.
Yeah. And that
so
was
true though.
That was where I you know, tapped into my universe.
Word.
You know, my one voice first. So I took it there, you know, and I really tapped into self, and I realized that my potential, my self growth, if I want to change the world, I change myself, is limitless. You know,
absolutely,
it's limitless because the energy never dies.
Absolutely,
you know, the energy can only be created; it cannot be killed.
And the energy was what you stood for.
It was what I stood for.
The energy is what you gave.
Absolutely,
we're buying your energy. I mean, that's since day one,
right? But I needed my
own
fuel stations.
Yes,
you know, I needed myself to to recycle that,
Yes.
you know, and to come home to family, you know,
Yeah.
love, all these things that were the essence of what kept me going. I couldn't forget about that, and I had to come back to that.
What time? Like what year was this? When was this?
This was, now I'm probably 23,
Okay.
24 at the time. Yeah.
This is around what year? Like what
So,
time frame is this?
This was it 2016 now? So this is probably 2011, 2012.
Word.
You know?
Word.
So after that year, so you took off like a year.
I took off a year, bro. It's a solid year.
So what was that first step back into the world like? Like that first step of like, all right, let's fucking do this.
Well, you know, it was funny because, you know, in my head, my success was, I was getting better, you know, but they say when you fall off your journey, you don't get back where you left off. You get back where you were supposed to be had you stayed on your journey.
Wow.
Right. So, I remember, you know, I was talking to my I got really close to my grandfather in that time period. He was he got sick as well. Mm-hmm. And I was sitting at the hospital with him and my uncle, my great uncle, talking to him about my relationship with my girlfriend that I was having problems with. And he said to me, he said, you know, Gavin, he said, work hard, be a good person, you know, go for your dreams. And he said, you'll realize the root word of relationship is relate. And he said,
This might be the most gems you've heard. You know?
And he said, you know, as you move up in life, if you go on your journey, the people who you can relate to,
Yeah.
will be there, and you will have relationships with them. And I went home and I broke up with her that night.
Word.
You know, and
Word.
and a month and a half later, I signed a lease on my retail store on Fairfax. Mm-hmm. So to speak to, like I said, you get back onto your journey where you were supposed to be anyway.
Yes.
And people looked up like, what the fuck? You just took a year off and all of a sudden you got a store?
Well, yeah. How
Are you sure this is what you wanted? Like, wait, what are you doing?
I mean, did you how did you get a store? Like, were you still during that year making money from your stuff? Was that still going on?
Yeah, I was still designing for people.
Okay.
I got a little bit of investment from family, you know, and I ran into the landlord really on some like wild shit. Like, yo, the space is open up. I always wanted a store. Let's do it. You know, I actually saw the guy who was about to move out of the space. Late night, I had been drinking on Fairfax. See this dude in the spot. I'm like, yo, what's up with this space, man? Like, what are you doing in here? He's like, oh, I'm about to leave. Mm-hmm. Well, you're leaving? What? Next day, I went to the landlord. I was like, hey, oh boy's leaving. He was like, he's leaving. I didn't even know. I'm like, yeah, he just told me he's leaving. Don't tell anybody. I want the keys, whatever, you know.
Wow.
And shout out to my landlord because I love him. But, you know, at the time, I was like 24 maybe.
Yeah.
24-year-old black kid wants a space on Fairfax. You know, it's like.
There's a lot of history on Fairfax.
About Jewish history.
Yep.
No black history.
Yeah, Fairfax, man, it was a very Jewish neighborhood. Like,
Yeah.
we used to live around that neighborhood when I was really young.
Yeah.
So your store, so you got that store, right? I think the name of your store is like extremely brilliant. Did you have that in mind? Did you get the store with that name in mind, or did you get the store and then know what you want to do next? Because as you said, when you make that decision, you end up where you should be.
Right.
Right.
And I think the store name was more of a the purpose behind the name was more like, I want this to be a sign for people.
Oh, excuse me, a what?
A sign.
Word.
Right? So a calling, a roll call of the youthful minded, you know, and the store was called YOUth on Fairfax. And
But
as
YOU,
capital YOU, lowercase th. So as you see the restroom that say men, women, you know, I wanted people to see youth and come in.
Yeah.
If that's you.
Yeah.
You know. And it was not, it never set out to be this crazy retail operation.
Yeah.
It was more just to be a vessel for energy. You
Yeah.
know? And so that's what we did, you know, and it was, I set out to create a space where I could be creative. I could sell my friends stuff, you know, I could discover things.
Yeah.
And I could give the youth, my peers, you know, a place to come and vibe.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Again, going back to community.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like you get a space and like the roots of it, the foundation of it goes right to community.
Right.
The whole essence of it.
Right.
It's wild because I think this is a little like past the beginning, but like, you know, Gavin and I have always, as of you and I have had, Joe, like, bro, like these two people sitting here right now, like there are times when we just get involved in conversation. It'll be a fucking 3-hour deep dive into just like life in the core type shit. And I remember Gavin and I had a meal at, I want to say it was Bossa Nova on Melrose. And I was really on this like inspired by Simon Sinek type shit.
Lalas. Yeah.
That's exactly what it was.
I was about to say, yeah.
I was really on this kick of like the why, you know what I'm saying? And I guess I feel like, you know, mine and Gavin's energies crossed at that time, and little did he know, like I was going through super fucking turmoil in my own world, but I was speaking to my peers from a perspective of, you know, me talking to myself, if you will, right? And I remember asking Gav, why youth, right? And not only why youth, but why you being a vessel for this youth shit. And he hit me with an answer at first. And I looked him dead in the eyes and I was like, I don't believe that. No. Right? I was like, bro, like, tell me why. Like, don't give me the surface first knee-jerk reaction to what I'm trying, like, cause I'll be an asshole when I'll never need to be right or wrong, but like I'll be an asshole, especially when it's my brothers, you know what I'm saying? And especially when it's somebody that I, on the trill look up to, right? His energy is something I look up to.
Yeah.
Right. And me always, especially with Gavin, like, especially with the cats that I'm close to, like, my only motive and my only hidden agenda is to make sure that I can do anything in my world and anything that's in my power to help whatever vision it is that you have to become great as you see it. And after a pause, I remember, and this shook me to my core, because after a pause, I was like, bro, you don't need to tell me off top. You know what I'm saying? But answer that question. Why you and why youth? And Gav, that moment, like, was when I was like, bro, like, let's go. Because he looked at me and he was like, you know why me? Is because I was that kid on the stoops in a community where there was so much going on around me, whether it was gang banging, whether it was drugs, whether it was like the only things cats in our community had to aspire to get out of the cycle that they're in is sports or music or fucking gang banging, right? There wasn't any room for the creative kid. You know what I'm saying? And for me, when I thought of youth, that store location, I wanted it to be those steps in front of the house that felt like home for somebody like myself. But except that I'd be there to be like, come in and like, tell me what your goals and your aspirations are. Tell me what you want to do and let me help you. Let me help you feel comfortable in this tumultuous and turmoil-filled world. And let me help educate you on the community, the culture. Let my experiences help you. And I looked at him dead in the eyes. I was like, there it is, bro.
Boom.
Mm-hmm.
There
Boom.
it is.
Church.
Yeah.
True shit.
Me?
Absolutely.
Needed to bring it out.
Yeah.
Needed to, because like, look, sometimes amongst friends, and this is what all friends, if you're listening, especially if you're friends with creatives, like, you don't need to be right. Your idea doesn't need to be correct, right? But if you're going to be friends with somebody, and especially, like, we've been fortunate enough to have so many peers in a creative space. And what I've especially learned is, like, family, I don't want somebody to tell me, like, I'm the shit. I don't want somebody to shower me with compliments, because, to be quite honest with you, bro, like, creative people in general don't really know how to fucking like show gratitude for that. Like, it's awkward. I'm a fucking loud ass person, and I get super awkward when people like talk really highly of me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll turn into that. Like, I'm speaking sign language to a motherfucker.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But one thing that's necessary for creatives is for the peers, and especially cats that or within your tribe, is to challenge your greatness. You feel me? Like, and challenging the greatness, not from your eyes, but just saying, because we know, when you talk to somebody or you see something or you feel something, like, if it feels real. You know what I mean? But then there's a difference with a lot of cats, especially in the creative world, that people try and tell you what they think you want to hear.
Right. A lot.
Right? A lot. And I've known Gavin so close to the point that, like, I know when it feels real, bro. Because like, there's a beauty in the vulnerability of this shit. And like, what he had done with youth and what he was doing with youth at that time was brilliant, because he wanted to educate the youth. He wanted to spark the youth. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you had a retail store, and then you were also holding little classes there.
Right.
You were bringing the community in there.
Right.
Like, how was that for you? Like, that was a chapter in your journey. Right.
No, that was definitely, I mean, for me, it was an opportunity to touch people, you know, and share the energy and share the wisdom that I had gained, you know, and so we would do things called vibe sessions, right? Where I had Nipsey come through, you know, and we talked about his struggle coming from 6 Souls, that whole neighborhood, that whole experience, to the struggle of being an independent artist in the music industry and being signed and being unsigned. I had a conversation. I brought Freeway Ricky Ross through, the drug dealer. Yeah. I brought him through, and we did a conversation called Legal Trapping. And it was to talk to the kids about basically the parallels between legal business, illegal business, and why the legal business is the one that could pan out and the illegal is short-lived, right? Yeah. We did, you know, collabs with Lupe. You know, we did a lot of cool stuff in the space, that art shows. Yeah. You know, young emerging artists. And, you know, it was that hub, and it was that, you know, communal space for kids to walk in and be like, yo, I make these bucket hats. And I'll be like, that's tight. Let's sell them. You know, and they'd be like, really? I'm like, yeah, we right here in Fairfax. We about to sell these shits now. You know, like, let's go. And that's how it was. And that was the vibe of it, you know, and I think, you know, it was something that will never die. You know, it will always live. It touched so many people. I get people that hit me up still like, yo, this changed my life. I'm the reason, you're the reason why this youth store is the reason why I'm doing this, you know? Word. And yeah, so no, it was a beautiful thing. You know what I'm saying? It was a beautiful thing.
And now notice, we're speaking about this as past tense, because youth, that store, that space, that journey leads us to where we are now. Right. And I remember having conversations with Gavin. Like, it was crazy, because like, I'd be in the back office, I'd roll up in there, there'd be a staff member that I don't know, but my ass would walk back in there, and I wouldn't like throw the Hollywood. I wouldn't throw the Hollywood shit, but like, I'd give him the hand signal, like, yeah, like, I'm going back there. You're not gonna get in trouble for this shit. Right. And this motherfucker had cameras everywhere, so I knew what the fuck was going on. But I remember there was a day where Gav and I were speaking. He was like, "Yo, bro, like, don't tell anybody this, but I'm thinking about shutting this shit down." And, you know, instead of us going through the random hoopla of the, oh, word, like, whoa, no, what do you, for me, it became word, like, well, what are you thinking? Like, what are you feeling? And in those conversations with him, like, I began to realize that it was becoming a burden for him to, like, he had set out to do what he wanted to do with this space. But again, as with every moment in our lives, is that I feel like he wasn't feeling as close to that idea, and he wasn't feeling that he was relating to who he was at that moment anymore. And there was more within him that he wanted to do outside of being confined by the constrictions of a lease, of payments to employees, of all of these things that, knowing him as a man, he take responsibility for everything. But I felt like from our conversations, I gathered that like he wanted to break free and really embark on his own journey and take that to its fullest potential.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you know, just to bring it back to, if you really think about why I began to become an entrepreneur, I did that to fix my family. You know, I was not like, that wasn't my shit. The numbers and all that, that's not my shit. My shit is the art, you know, the creativity, the design of it all. I just would do shit and sell shit because I needed to feed, or not feed, but fuel and fix my family. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, so, you know, these things that I did over my career and my life were just things I wanted to create.
Yeah.
And then it's like, if you look at an artist, you know, they have an exhibition and a theme for the year and a style.
Yeah.
And then they switch it up. And that's me. I'm an artist, you know, to the full. Like,
absolutely.
I create shit, a vibe,
in every
whatever,
sense of the word, bro.
And then I shift, you know, and I create something else, you know. And so, but all the while, my success story is in myself and the growth that I've had through the whole process, you know. And I think, you know, like you said, which what leads us to today, you know what I'm saying, where I'm at today and what I'm able to do now. I could speak to just in that time period of me having the store in 3 years, you know, open a store, you know, had a daughter, you know,
a gorgeous little princess.
Thank you.
Bro,
Yeah.
that literally is gonna take this world by storm. You and I both know this.
I know for sure.
Her energy is like, when we talk about energy, Peace's energy. His daughter's name is Peace.
Oh, amazing.
Peace, Maria.
Peace's energy is like, bro, one of the most enigmatic energies you'll ever see in your life, bro.
Amazing.
Like when
and you can see it.
You can see it. You can feel it, bro.
It's there. You can see the
It's
energy.
insane.
Yeah.
Like even when it was nonverbal, bro, you knew. Her eyes were open. She's soaking the world in.
Yeah.
She's looking dead in your eyes, and like, bro,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Right. And that changed my life. You know what I'm saying?
How
that was
so? Because I feel like we all have those like moments and hear those stories of like, yeah, you know, when you have a child, like shit changes. But
right.
How did it change for you?
Whoa, I wanted to get myself together, right? On a level of health wise, on a level of just spiritually, stress, all that, drop all that and just be balanced, you know, because I thought to myself, like, yo, I gotta live 2 lives. Cause I want to see her as much as possible, as long as possible, you know, and it also made me fearless in a sense to start shaving off more fat, shaving off the bullshit, shaving off the extra weight that I didn't have time for. Cause I needed to get her a car. I needed to put her through college. You know, I needed to make sure she had everything she needed.
Yeah.
You know, and so it really, I don't say I worked more or harder, but smarter, you know? And I was like, that was part of my decision of closing the store. Was like, okay, physical retail is taking up. I'm not happy creatively because I'm running a retail store, but also it's taking me away from my time with my daughter.
Yes,
and then we all know physical retail is not where the money's at anymore. You know, so it's like if here I am trying to do something for the youth, but I got a daughter of my own. You know, I gotta trim some fat and become more efficient. You know, and so that's why my decision to close the store came from. Word. You know, and it wasn't just me, and I got to feed a couple mouths. You know, so that's where I led to, and you know, another big, just about a month later, month and a half later, my father passed away. And I'm speaking.
Rest in peace, Fred Senior, man.
Off top, rest in peace. I love you. You know, I guess I'm speaking that, and I'm open to sharing that with you all because this is my journey. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. This is my story. This is my success. You know, and you know, it was a time period to where this was my second big blow. Yeah. You know, I mentioned the blow earlier, you know, and it was, had I not sat down for that year, I wouldn't have been able to handle this second blow.
Yeah. But now you're strong.
Yeah.
You went to the gym.
Man, I this second blow with my pops I went into this strong.
Yeah.
My condition was strong going into this, you know. So I came out even stronger.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I went into this prepared and came out like a monster.
Yeah.
You know, and so, you know, to bring things to full circle, you know, in a matter of a year, birthed a child but lost a father, you know. And I think in that time period, I just learned how precious and how short life is. You know, how fearless you should be.
Yeah.
You know, how good life is, how good God is, you know, how much opportunity you have.
Yeah.
You know, how just youthful and fun and loving you should live.
Yeah.
You know, and just really what's important. You know, just in life, I think a lot of what we've talked about has been the career and the workforce, but that's not the point here.
It's a life force.
Yeah.
Bro.
The point here is that, you know, in my most successful personal time, I am my most successful in my career, you know.
Yes.
I've made the most money that I've made right now, but that's not what, that was a after effect, byproduct of my personal success, my personal connection, my personal happiness. You know, that was all a byproduct.
So for those that don't know you, after YOUth, after you chose to step away from YOUth as the retail store and all that, because the idea is still a part of your being, right? Where are you now in terms of creative, in terms of what you're doing? Because I don't want to say it for the people, but I want you to say it, right? Because you shed that, and now, because I look at you and I smile even bigger. There's never been a time where I've looked or thought of you and not smiled, but like now, I feel like, you know, in this fucking limitless circle that we see in this circle of life that we go, and like cats don't realize this goes around and around and around and around. It's not just one fucking circle.
Yeah.
But in this circle, where is Gavin now? Where is Mizzle now? What are you doing now that has you so so excited, and where has your life taken you at this moment? Because folks, we've just reached right now.
Right. So now I'm gonna draw back and bring a couple things full circle for you, right?
Yep.
The question of how do you decide what brand name you want to make?
Yeah.
You know, do you want to go global? Do you want to, right? The conversation of, you know, the journey and becoming who you want to become, you know, and closing certain chapters to open new ones, right? So I made a decision that who I want to be is this free, creative, you know, be able to move around, do as I please, be a family man, be a father, you know, but create whatever it is that comes to mind.
Yeah.
You know, so I made a shift to put, rather than the brand and what I do above me, put myself above what it is that I do.
Very interesting.
Right. And so now in shifting that up here, I put Mizzle, myself, at the forefront.
Yeah.
That's the most universal, most consistent, the brand with the most longevity, because I'm going to always be here. You know what I'm saying?
It's
like,
you.
My energy will never die, you know? And so that was where I shifted to say, okay, this comes first.
Yeah.
Right? This person comes first. What am I currently doing?
Yeah.
Because everything is temporary.
Right.
And it's all so minute.
Yeah.
Compared to this life that I'm living.
Yeah.
Nobody knew this all the while, but I was already working and designing for YG. Came to me back in 2009. It was like, yo, Mizzle, Gav, I need some merch. I need some this, whoop.
Yeah.
And I was like, nah, we ain't gonna do no YG face on a t-shirt. Like we about to create some shit. So I created the 400 brand.
Yep.
The logo, the meaning, the whole. And I was like, yo, you need to turn this into a clothing line, you know? Throughout the time, I was still designing for him, designing the Bompton logo, designing all this stuff. And him being loyal, you know, dude who he is, when his shit started to pop off, you know, he had opportunities from other clothing brands, other merch companies to come to somebody.
Probably some big merch companies.
Big ones, the majors, right?
Yep.
He hit me like, yo, I had these opportunities. I turned them down. I want to fuck with you, you know. And
some trill shit.
It was, and that's my boy for that reason. You know, he is who he says he is. He proved to be that loyal dude. So long story short, we embarked on that together.
Word.
We just launched the collection 3 weeks ago. Shit sold out in 4 days.
Sold the fuck out.
Shit sold out in 4 days. You know, and I'm able, I've stepped in the position that I want to be in, to be freely creative, you know, creative directing the whole 400 brand.
Yep.
Doing, you know, directing the commercials, shooting the ads, designing the clothes, the whole nine, and able to create what I want to create on the side.
Telling your stories.
You're the entity now.
Right. Now, Mizzle, my agency is the entity that's creating what comes to my mind when I want to create it.
That's
What's your agency called?
My agency's called Supervision.
Supervision.
Yeah. Dope. Supervision. And we can get into that if you want to, but I don't know if they're ready for that. That's another conversation.
Yeah,
hold on. Let me go really full circle to where we introduced Gav. Whoa.
No, I love it, man. I mean, talk about bringing everything full circle, and now you being at the top and being, you know, able to do pretty much whatever you want at this point, plus being the most personally successful internally, being the most financially successful, being the most career successful professionally. Would you say this is your mama we made it moment?
Nah. You know, I wouldn't say that. You
Shout
know,
out to the
nah. I'm so blessed. You know what I'm saying?
Word.
I've been making it. You know,
Word.
I've been had a Majestic Soul.
He called his mama and told her he made it a long motherfucking time.
Yeah, I've been had a Majestic Soul. You feel me?
Yep.
Like, you know what's up with me.
Yeah.
Like,
Tia already knew.
And you know what? I'll be honest with you. a lot of people, and this is another issue, but we talk about exposure, but I come from a great family, dog.
You
like
do.
My father, my mother, my grandfather, my grandmother, like on both sides, but they're monsters, B. You know what I'm saying? Like they've done shit. You know, my cousins.
Your lineage
squad
is fucking
deep.
strong, bro.
The squad is deep.
For real. Now we're about to like
shit.
reveal that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Cats know each other. They can't bring the shit up.
Right.
But the family history, the lineage is very motherfucking strong.
It's deep. It's deep. We like I said, that's another conversation for another day. But Pops was putting numbers on the board. You know what I'm saying? Like for real.
Yep.
Couple Super Bowls. Like
Yeah.
Hall of Fames. Couple like law
Some
degrees. 20 years in the game. Like
Yeah.
12 years in the pros.
What?
Yeah.
Like put numbers on the board, B. You know, and it's not. It's inspiring to me, if nothing else. But it's like, you know, I say all that to say, man, that no, this is not the mama we made it, because, you know, we were never down.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Money or not, we were never down. And then like the potential where shit is going, we're just getting started.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. With having all of this happen, right? And when I say all of this happen, shout out to fucking that being life, folks. You feel me? You're here now. Your creative wings are spread. You're able to play a much deeper and a much more free and fully encapsulating role in YG's career. You're building your agency, Supervision. What are you most excited about for the potential of where you want to go in this moment, right? Not even talking about grand aspirations, but you've shed so many layers, you've hit so many points in your life that like walls that were merely like gateways to the next chapter, right? Like so many people think they hit these walls and it's over, but like you've hit these walls and it was merely like, let me assess the scenario so that I can just step through this fucking concrete and go to another utopia, which won't be my last, right? So at this stage in your career and in your life, being that you have such a young family in the making, you have a gorgeous daughter, you know what I'm saying? You have a beautiful baby mother in your world and a woman in your world that, you know, this seed of yours, this child of yours is going to grow up in such a fucking creative home. She has two parents that truly, I can tell you this, that as lucky as you are to have her, you guys are to have her in your lives, she's extremely fortunate and lucky to have the both of you in her life as well. And also the families in which y'all come from. But when we're speaking of Mizzle, and Mizzle that has been able to check himself into a period of self-reflection when he needs to, that every decision that he's made, however strenuous or tough or arduous it may have been, has led to something better. You're now at a point where your impact and your true creative vision and spirit, it has a limitless boundary, right? What are you excited about right now in terms of where you're going to be going? And I'm just talking immediate, bro. I'm not even talking about like taking over the globe type shit. Like at this moment in time, when you wake up, like what are you excited for the most right now?
That's an interesting question. I think that what I'm most excited about is, you know, the unknown is limitless, you know.
Yes.
The abyss, you know, the darkness, like
canvas is yours to fucking paint on, bro.
Yeah, and I'm excited to be in control of my light.
Yeah.
And to be able to shine it in the darkness.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm excited about just what I've learned to this point.
Yeah.
And knowing that I don't know.
Word.
You know, but attacking that. You know,
knowing that you don't know.
Yeah.
Be comfortable with that, folks.
Right. Yeah, and attacking that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes.
Yeah, taking it on full steam and you know, embracing the struggle, embracing the fear, embracing all of that, and just being like, yo, that's what's turning me up.
Word.
Yeah.
You know, that's my fuel right now. Ooh. You know? And it's like it's knowing that through my daughter I could live longer.
Yeah.
You know, knowing that it lands and ends with her.
Beautiful.
You know, and continues with her.
My brother, I love you to death, bro.
This
for real.
Yeah.
Like let me tell you, like this was such a fucking beautiful moment for us. You know what I'm saying? I can even tell by Joe's facial expressions. You know what I'm saying? And like
he's dropping gems all night, man. No, this has been an amazing experience, an amazing story. I had, and it was beautiful for me. I had no clue about all this, you know. So, whereas Nushi's seen you along this journey, for me being just an observer, just someone who's just listening and taking it in, it's a beautiful journey, man. You got to really endure like all sides of the spectrum, and we talk about this, like, you know, when you say you embrace the fear, you embrace, you know, even the bad moments, and that's what turns you up. It's like, that's life, man. And without those, like, you're not living. Like,
no,
you're unhealthy without those. Like, that's what makes you,
or you're just living by another person's standard.
Yeah, you know, and it's in so many of the people that we talk to, when you break stuff down, 90% of it is talking about that grind and that struggle and that self-realization and figuring out who you really need to be. And then that little 10% or even 1% is when you just flip over to that next level of like, you figure it out and then you start that journey. But it really comes, the roots of it come from that beautiful struggle. Yeah, no, this has been an amazing interview, man. Thank you so much for joining us on this.
No doubt, man.
Where can the people find you, man? Where can they connect or hit you up?
You can connect with me. My handle is at Mizzle Super VSN. That's Mizzle Supervision.
And that's MIZZLE.
Super.
This motherfucker out here saying Mizzle as if a motherfucker knows how to spell Mizzle. So little Jonathan in Wyoming is like, oh, Mizzle.
Hey,
is there an S in there?
Google me.
All day.
Hey, nah, real shit. And the same, my website, MizzleSupervision.com. MIZZLE supervsn.com. Keep up. We're going to keep it moving.
My brother, so much love.
Yeah.
This has been fucking amazing. And listen, everybody out there, you've already made it, right? Whether you have a moment where you call your mother and tell her you made it, because you will have that moment, or whether you just understand the magnitude of your energy and already know within you that you've made it, but every step of the way is a different echelon to that journey. Call your mother. Tell her you love her and tell her you motherfucking made it, baby. Let's go.
Whoa.